Hello and welcome to another edition of the American Soccer Crash Course. Late summer lodge, club season's ramping up. Just finished the first weekend of Premier League action. Does it feel good to be back?
It feels good to be back, yeah. I'd say, long hiatus, but understandable. People got to go. We got to give our producer a vacation. He's got to go home and see the family.
Right.
Have a little bit of time to relax, recoup, and get ready for this new season.
Yeah, exactly. It's the season does pop right up on you after you've thrown those summer exploits for the national team, and it's already here. So it is the most fun time of the year, though, I think, with games happening before football season starts, and you get that fresh wave at the beginning of the year where anything's possible.
Yeah,
maybe Dortmund can win the league this year, Lodge.
Wave of hope, all for it to start crashing down. Start right around football season starting.
Yep. So we're enjoying it, but the transfer season, the transfer summer, Fabrizio's been dropping bombs all summer. Fabrizio Romano, that is not slowing down. It's in the heat of it as we kind of start the season up, and teams really want to get those players integrated. So it has been a fantastic season. Fantastic summer for the U.S. men's national team at transfers. After we finished our end of season recap last year, and we're very much like, hey, we need to see a lot of good moves, and so far that's materialized. So it'll be fun to have this transfer special to really break down everything that's gone on and kind of go into the ins and outs of what we like and what we don't like. But I got to tell you, Lodge, we got some transfer grades coming, and I'm a week grader. There's lots of good stuff, lots of high grade points going on.
Yeah. It's syllabus week. You usually get A for completion at this point, so we're going with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Getting the first little quizzes out of the way. But just a reminder, we're on social media. We've been following the transfers all summer, even as the podcast has been slow. But we're still out there on Instagram, on TikTok. Maybe we're gonna whip up some shorts here. And I mean, Twitter fingers is a low capital kind of activity for me. So check out our Twitter. But it's good to be back podcasting. We'll have the U.S. team playing in a couple friendlies next month. One's in St. Louis, Lodge. I don't know how much you're going to be willing to pay to go see.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see the real guys at some point. I've only seen a couple of Gold Cup games, but
that's fair.
So let's leave with that. Did you enjoy our Gold Cup tailgate?
Yeah,
about a month back.
So we had for those of you who don't know, an American Soccer Crash Course, quick little get together at the the Soldier Stadium for the U.S. men's game. Looking back, I think I had fun at the game.
You had fun.
I probably didn't seem like I had fun.
You had something like. We were counting Weston McKennie beers.
Yeah, we were going numbers of players, and I ended up getting past Christian Pulisic. We're going to leave it at that. But it was a game where you got to see a lot of guys that you don't normally get to see in the U.S. men's jersey. Me being an ultra fan and having those World Cup qualifier experiences was
true.
So I was pretty happy to see those guys.
You've seen the dudes.
I've seen the dudes, yeah. And this was a
dudes.
chance to see some of the possible dudes.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do? The team didn't play as well as they could have, but at the same time, I think we scratched out a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, it was pretty comical too. We got to see Matt Turner make a penalty save. We had some guy in front of us like screaming the quintessential Seattle Sounders chant that always gets roasted.
Right.
Fight! And win. So we got that full experience.
Yeah.
I don't know. We were looking at each other, just kind of laughing at some of the stuff. But I mean, I think it would be a good opportunity to say, although we're not going to talk much about the Gold Cup, that the Gold Cup itself ended up being a tryout for a lot of guys to see if they could be the dudes. And no one really stood out. I mean, Matt Turner had a good time again, but we already knew he was a dude.
Right.
And then DeJuan Jones and James Sands played all right and might be in consideration because those are two positions, left back and center defensive mid, where the U.S. are pretty weak. But they didn't light the world on fire. Yeah. Jesus Ferreira was okay, showed that he was we should say a great nickname was born. Arguably the best nickname ever to happen for the U.S. men's national team. The Pirate of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Because he just only plays well against the Caribbean nations. So, kind of funny, but it's not Pirates of the Caribbean.
No, it's Pirate. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. One other player that I wanted to call out was Gianluca Busio. I thought he played pretty well.
Okay, you liked him.
I did. He did a lot of things right. Was a spark plug, a little engine in the team.
Yeah.
Didn't necessarily do anything wrong, and that's okay in those types of situations. A lot of players took a lot of chances, I would say. We saw some good things up top, or we saw some good trends towards things being good up top. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah. So Ferreira kind of looked like he kind of spelled out what I would say is what the scouting report on him has been for a little while, which is like he can be creative as a 10, but he's just not a striker. He's not a number 9. So we'll see what happens with him. I think we would all, be happy with a little reprieve from Jesus, but I don't want to get too negative on that. The team did fail to beat Canada, Jamaica, or Panama, who ended up beating us in Penn. So it was a pretty underwhelming tournament. Always, it's just weird to have all these games. There was a clip that went viral within the U.S. community of this one podcast ripping into Alexi Lalas's power rankings, which of course featured Jesus Ferreira as the second best striker in the pool, and they were like, "This is on Fox. There's all these casual fans. They have no idea that Jesus Ferreira isn't the second best striker, and they watch and they're like, "This is the second best we have to offer." So just the whole thing was like messy and not that fun to watch. And
we wanted it to be a tune-up for the Copa America next year. Did not feel like that whatsoever. No. So
yeah.
We'll see with these next coming up games.
Yeah. So in a month, like we said, we'll have 2 friendlies and Greg Berhalter's back in charge. The summer of BJ has come to an end. So
happy trails, BJ.
Yeah, he's sticking around on the staff, so that's good. But so let's get right down to the transfer special here. Let's break down the moves. We're gonna give our grades on what we like, what we don't like. And then we're going to just sort through, we got like 15 or so days left in the transfer window. So sort through the unfinished business, some of the rumors, what you like, what you don't like. So, Lodge, what has been your favorite transfer this summer?
Might get a lot of hate for this one. I'm going to go Timothy Weah.
Okay.
I'm going to go Timothy Weah to Juve. And the reason behind that is not that he wasn't excelling in the French league, because I think he was. I think he was getting a lot of tech. He was getting a lot of game time. But this gives him an opportunity, new challenge in Serie A in the Italian league. For those of you who don't know, he was transferred to Juventus to play at an outside wingback position. Juventus is known for having outside wingbacks and developing them, players such as Juan Cuadrado, João Cancelo, who's world-class at this point, Danilo, to name a few. And these guys are, former wingers who have just kind of come out and been defensive in some ways. Timothy Weah, I think, fits that mold pretty much to a T. He was a winger for the United States team in the World Cup last year. Club games, pretty much only getting wing back time or left back time. And now he's going to go into a role where he can be attacking and defending.
Yeah.
Going to give him a lot of opportunities to play against different teams that you would see in the Serie A, in the Italian league. So I'm pretty excited about that one.
Your grade?
Grade, I'm going to say A.
All right.
A minus maybe.
I'm with you. I'm giving that one an A as well. I really like the move. At first, when I initially saw it, I was like, "Ooh, I don't like this at all."
Death sentence, yeah.
Yeah, because I was sort of like, I was thinking about, I didn't love the Tim Weah playing right back thing to begin with. And you're right, he did get ticked, but it was at right back. So I was kind of like a little turned off by it at first, and I was like, I was kind of in this mindset. I was like, our guys need to take moves that are like maybe more conservative and gonna just like take a step down and get more PT. But it seems like he's over the moon excited about this. Like he's looked sharp in preseason, and it really is a role that fits him perfectly. He's going to bomb down the field while like using his athleticism, because people have commented, he doesn't have the best ball skills in the world, to like take people one-on-one, but he's great at making runs and playing with a whole flank and sideline of space. So it's a really exciting move, and Champions League football for another guy that we're like didn't see that coming. So I'm really excited about the Tim Weah move as well. However, I think the Christian Pulisic to AC Milan move is my favorite. it's just a big, it's just like a high headline, big name move that for me, you get our poster boy. Maybe there's reason to doubt how really good Christian Pulisic is at this point, how much better than he is than the rest of the pool. But there's no denying that he probably had the best offensive performance at the World Cup.
Right.
He has been our poster boy for a while now, and now you're going to get to see him at one of the most historic clubs ever, where he should really be featured a good amount, and
Quite a bit, yeah.
yeah, and luckily they're in the Champions League this year. And personally, this is one I was asking for a long time.
And like
to AC Milan.
Champions League semifinal last year. Let's
Yep.
not forget that.
Yep. So
Their team's looking great. Excited to see him. He scored his first goal in preseason. Had a chance to make a pen. Missed the pen on purpose so that he could score his first goal from open play.
Yep.
That's what we like to see from a U.S. men's player.
Yes, pad those stats.
Pad
baby.
those stats, baby. So yeah, no, I agree. That's a good one.
Yeah, San Siro debut in a couple of weeks. I will be there no matter what. Very pumped to be going to his first game. Just planning a little pit stop while I'm over there for my cousin's wedding in Ireland. So I'm very excited to see Pulisic. It's my favorite. I'm gonna get to some parts of it that maybe don't go in favor, but at the very least is my personal favorite because of the upside of it, and just like getting our poster boy to one of the biggest clubs and really a fresh start. And it seems like Pulisic and Weah kind of very I think they're actually sort of similar personality wise, like just in terms of being guys that feed off like an arm around them, feed off confidence, and operate so much better. Like just they can swing really big if they're confident or they're not confident. So so Pulisic to AC Milan's my favorite. So Lodge, what would you say is the overall best objective transfer of this season?
Well, if you would have asked me this yesterday, I would have had a completely different thought. For those of you who don't know, we recorded this, Monday, August
14th.
14th. The 13th of August, it was rumored by Fabrizio, our guy right here, that Tyler Adams of Leeds United would be transferring to Chelsea. That has completely fallen by the wayside in the last 24 hours, and they have since gone with Moises.
Yeah, Moises
Caicedo.
And another guy,
Ecuadorian, and Romeo Lavia from Southampton. So two guys that are playing in that exact same defensive mid position. Good for them, I guess. We're not really happy about that. So now
I'm cool with it in terms of like, this next spot that we're gonna get to is probably a better destination, but like just Chelsea being Chelsea. I had plenty of reason to dislike them already. Just so scummy to have a guy like they like pretty much activated the clause. He was there for like a medical, and they just pull out the rug from under him. Just kind of crappy. I just feel for Adams on a personal level. He's probably excited to make a move to a team like Chelsea, but I guess all's well that ends well, hopefully. Yeah. So I'll let you get to the punchline here.
So now he's going to AFC Bournemouth, another team in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So getting some more Premier League tick. We're excited to see that. Coming off of an injury, excited to see how he performs on a lower level team. Unfortunately, was not able to keep Leeds up due to injury. A lot of players or a lot of people think around the Prem that his injury coincided with the time that Leeds started to pretty much plummet in the rankings.
For sure.
But with all that being said, excited about that move. Not my favorite move. My favorite move is now Ricardo Pepi to PSV.
All right. So you were gonna go?
I was going to go Tyler Adams
as the best transfer.
Because I thought that he had an opportunity to fight in a rotation spot where there's a lot of room for upside. What if they didn't get those two guys? Now that they have those two guys, not great.
Yeah.
Ricardo Pepi at PSV, I think, is what we're looking for. Coming out of, he's staying in the same league, so Eredivisie, so the Dutch league. Very excited to see that. I think he was second or third in goals, if not first.
On their team, on his individual team,
for in the league.
He was top. I think he was like top 10, but he was. I think the stat I found is like he was the only guy in the top 10 that didn't play for like one of the best teams.
One of the best teams,
and and his team was dead last in the whole league. So that's impressive.
So getting a transfer to arguably the best team, and you could argue that. I don't necessarily know the rankings right now.
No, I'm not going to pretend like my I'm done after the French league. I'm not watching.
I think Ajax, Eindhoven, and there's probably one other.
Feyenoord is pretty good.
Feyenoord is usually pretty good. So like, there's a top 3 generally, but getting a transfer to one of those top 3 teams from being the worst team, we're excited to see. And he's definitely going to get some game time. They picked him so that he could be, the number 1 goal scorer on that team, or at least compete for that position. And in a U.S. men's team where he's going to have to be competing with Balogun and other players.
Get used to it.
Yeah, I'm excited for the dogfight to see what he has, because he's been talking about how much he wants to, bounce back after missing the World Cup squad. So
yeah. So he's in a fight for playing time with Luke de Jong, who was on Barcelona a little bit ago. I love that move as well. It's not. I'm gonna get to my best transfer in 1 second, but that's my close second. For like you forget this guy's 20 years old. It's great. If you can be in and around the Champions League, if they make it through their Champions League qualifiers. I mean, even so, just to make that upward move that isn't overly ambitious, where you're still going to be comfortable. I think it's a great move. I'm giving it an A. And this Tyler Adams move, also, like, it maybe wasn't that unexpected, because he seems to be, have been attracting interest for a little bit. Saw like lots of rumors about him. I feel like this Chelsea thing, although I felt bad for him, it's kind of like a situation where, like, all publicity is good publicity, right? It's like, oh, Chelsea are in for him. You expect other teams to really get going. So if he goes to Bournemouth, I don't think you can think of it in the same terms as this Pepe move, where Pepe's, elevating his game, right? You're like, in this case, it's more he's making a lateral move to where he was last year. But that's kind of what I want to see Tyler Adams do at this stage. He just made this move to the Premier League where he was starting to find his feet. I think it's great for him to spend more time in the Premier League. So this is really just, remedying the effects of getting relegated. And I'm giving it an A+. I love this move. So, nice. And Pepe an A. What do you got on those grades?
I had Pepe as an A+, and Tyler Adams, I hadn't had enough time to, run through my metrics.
It happened
and
about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. So we're going to say A minus. Right. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So my best transfer,
A++.
A star.
A star.
Is going to be a guy who's going to go from 0 playing time to lots and lots of playing time. He's going to infinitely double that infinitely multiply that playing time. You know who I'm talking about, Lars?
It's been a while.
The answer's right in front of your nose, I promise. It's Matt Turner from Arsenal to Nottingham Forest. I think this is an awesome move. They just purchased Turner last year, so you kind of expect, like, Arsenal, they're going to have lots of ambitions. They just want, like, a good backup keeper to keep there. And they went out and signed Brentford's David Raya, which, maybe he's getting a big pay bump. I would assume he is, but kind of an interesting move from a guy to just – move to be the backup at Arsenal, or at least he's going to want to compete. But it's going to be a tough competition at Arsenal. But Matt Turner is kind of like the collateral in that he is able to move to Nottingham Forest. And right now it really looks like he's going to be the starter. There was some talk of bringing in Man United's Dean Henderson, but that seems to be pretty far from like a nailed on thing. So, very, very cool. You're going to get Matt Turner in the Premier League.
Yeah.
We did the story. We did the episode with Carter Sperry leading up to the World Cup, just detailing his crazy story from guy who was a backup on a like small college team to Premier League backup. Well, that story writes another chapter. He's a Premier League starter. So super cool for Matt Turner. That is my A star, if you will.
Okay, I like that. Interesting. You brought up Dean Henderson. He's been trying to do a similar thing out of Man United for 2-3 years now.
It doesn't happen that easily.
Dean Henderson, for those of you who don't know, has been trying to leave Man United when David De Gea was the goalie, really because he thought he should be a first-choice number 1, if not at a club as good as Man United, at a club, mid to lower tier in the Premier League, just so he can get playing time, get experience to maybe get, a national team call-up for England. Unfortunately, that did not materialize for him. We're happy that it did for Matt Turner, because now we can say that our number 1 is a consistent starting number 1 in the Premier League.
Yeah. It's awesome, and he kind of had a funny debut, right, at Arsenal, his first game, days after they just lifted the Community Shield together. So Arsenal, my cousin's an Arsenal fan now. He woke up at 6:30 for the game. I was very, very proud of him. This is like his first full season being a diehard. So I don't know how much credit we can take that. I don't think we had anything to do with it. I think it was the Amazon doc.
Okay.
But anyways, he woke up at 6:30, and I was telling him, like, listen, Arsenal can win and Matt Turner can play well, and we can both be happy. And that was what happened. The Arsenal won 2-1, but Matt Turner was not at fault for either goal. So we'll see where this road takes us.
And they sent him off with some silverware too. Can't be mad
They
at
did,
that.
yeah. And he got to play for his favorite team. Like, this dude lives the best life.
Yeah.
And this summer, look up the video. He was absolutely hitting bombs at Busch Stadium in St. Louis.
Yeah.
It was one of the more incredible things I've like ever seen, like an athlete playing another sport. They had him in batting practice for the St. Louis Cardinals, and he was just jacking home runs. Like, he hit like 4 or 5 home runs with a wood bat. Crazy. So yeah, Matt Turner, congrats to him. Let's move on to the riskiest move, and I don't mean I mean riskiest truly in a risk reward sense. A guy that could really see his stock go up or down, or playing situation go up or down. So, Lodge, what do you think is the riskiest move?
So what have we done so far? We've done best. We've done favorite.
We've done favorite and best. Correct.
Okay. So riskiest. I'm gonna let you start.
Okay, I'm gonna lead this off. You figure it out. So I'm gonna come back to the well here. I think Christian Pulisic's. I mean, the move itself, there are lots of parts of it I like, but I think he has to nail this.
Okay, so I didn't know that we were allowed to choose a player that we'd already chosen, or that you.
I mean, yeah, you can.
No, we're on the same page here. I'm with you. I
Yeah.
want Christian Pulisic. All right, I think Christian Pulisic is probably the riskiest player here. I'm with you. No,
Yeah.
it's that point in his career where it's put up or shut up time. This is his second or arguably third big money move. You count Dortmund. This is another opportunity where he's going to come in and have the ability to be a starter right away. We all saw how great his potential was and great how much he played up to it during the lockdown period.
Yeah.
I mean, arguably one of the best players in the world during that.
Yep.
Since then, has just not fallen. He's fallen out of favor at Chelsea. Another team picks him up for a small amount of money shifts right into a starting position, or possibly fighting for a starting position in a Champions League semifinal team. This is his opportunity. I'm with you.
Yeah, so you highlighted that, and I would definitely come back to it, which is like they made a bunch of moves. They got Chukwueze, this guy from Villarreal, plays right wing too. And the initial read was like they wanted to bring him in as a 10, right? Mm-hmm. And then in preseason he played as a left wing. Now he's playing as a right wing. Yeah. It's just like I think people, and I mentioned this is my favorite, but I think some U.S. men's national team fans are so excited about this. It's an exciting move, and they're not like they're kind of it's like the first few months of a relationship. The red flags are there, and you're like, whatever. We're just having fun out here. like he looks good in the kit. Come on, let's ride. And that's kind of how I feel people are viewing it, because he hasn't played right wing since one of his first seasons at Dortmund, and he hasn't played the 10 for the U.S. in a while. And even though some people are saying, oh well, he makes most of his plays centrally. It's like, yeah, but that's, you're starting on one and you're coming in. Like, Lodge, I know that like, that's not the same as being in the middle and receiving from the middle. And I'm not sure he's physical enough to withstand a whole 90 minutes receiving the ball in the middle. Yeah. So, and then, you got the Rafael Leao angle, which is, he'll be in his preferred position. Hopefully he gets sold in a year or 2 years, but like, I mean, people might have varying opinions on that, but it's not as perfect as you might want it to be, and you can see a situation where maybe he gets squeezed out even. So, fingers crossed. But yeah, I think it's risky. I think regardless of where he went, even if the profile was, great Champions League left wing, nobody to compete with thing, like it was always going to be a move he needed to nail. So. He might have found his way on this riskiest move regardless. But
yeah. No, I'm with you. It's going to be – we're going to find out either way if it's the best or the riskiest, or, we sit here evaluating, but we can't really say that much until we see him play. So
That's true. All right, Lodge, your least favorite move. I would say they've all been good moves, but what's your least favorite?
Least favorite move, and I'm going to take a little liberty here, but I'm going to say least favorite move was no move, and I'm going to go no move Serginho Dest.
Yeah.
Feel for the guy, really feel for the guy. Transferred out of Barcelona on loan to AC Milan, a team that we just talked about. Did not get any really playing time after kind of messing up once or twice pretty early on in his loan. Before leaving Barcelona, that first on loan, he was training by himself. He comes back He has the opportunity in preseason to impress Xavi, impress the coaches, impress everybody that he's playing with, and say, okay, we could possibly do something and nail down the spot until we bring in another right back, and I can be that guy. Did not happen, unfortunately, in preseason. Did not look fantastic. Now they're going to be bringing in João Cancelo, a guy that we talked about, similar profile to Timothy Weah and the outside wingback, experience in both Juventus, Manchester City, FC Bayern for a little bit. We're not really counting that, though. And then, so now Serginho Dest is back to practicing by himself.
The sunken place.
In the sunken place, yeah. I think we mentioned it a couple podcasts back, but unfortunate for him. It was a risk. It was bet on yourself risk. Like, you can't get mad at the guy for doing it. It was a good opportunity. He thought that he could fight for the spot. Unfortunately, it didn't work out.
And he was bad in those preseason games, man. He was really bad.
No idea where he goes from here.
Which I don't, you mentioned it, like, no reason to be mad at him with the stuff, but
Absolutely, young kid.
Yeah, and like, I just think we talked about how well he played in those games against Canada and Mexico, but, like, when you haven't played for 2 years, it's gonna come out. Like, you can't fight it forever, like, and I think it came out against Vinny Jr. and Rafael Leao. Like, that's gonna expose you pretty quickly, right? To
be fair, those preseason games, he was playing the best of the best. Vinicius Jr. is probably going to be a Ballon d'Or candidate this year, if not next.
Yeah.
Rafael Leao, a guy we talked about, going to be starting over Christian Pulisic.
Yeah.
Any second, anytime.
One of the best left wingers in the world.
Yeah.
Two, maybe the two best.
Yeah.
So that for another day.
It was a tough job. What am I looking for? Job shadowing, job rehearsal. Did not pass the test.
Yeah, so as much as it was, you said least favorite move, like, you would love to see him already playing somewhere else because he didn't move and all this stuff. He has 16 days. There's rumors that they might just terminate his contract. He didn't even get registered for the La Liga season.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. Hopefully he takes that contract termination and runs with it. The kind of messed up thing is, like, you just don't even hear any buzz about where he might go, which is really frustrating.
Right.
So I should say this, Lodge, this is an insane thing I never thought I'd say. Maybe you feel it coming, but
I don't.
If his options are, like, just hang out or a half season loan to the MLS, should he take it?
So that's never going to happen. I'm just going to come out and say it.
Okay.
The reason I say it's never going to happen is Dutch citizenship. Has that Dutch experience. Probably will go back to the Eredivisie before anything. I'm sure like a lower tier La Liga team would probably want him. You would want to think.
Where are they? Just step up to the plate, please.
MLS, I don't know. You don't want to see him set because, then he just goes into another situation similar to this one. And maybe it just, turns into spirals. But I don't think he's going to spiral. I think that there's going to be a point in time pretty soon here where he's going to get put on a team and he's going to start to work himself back up. It was just unfortunate that, his opportunity was how we described it in preseason.
Yeah.
I think given against two different teams, we still may be talking about him in a completely different light right now.
Yeah. All right, so I didn't take as much nuanced liberty as you did on this one, but my least favorite move, and I still like it, is McKennie kind of chilling at Juve because the last two preseason games they've had, they took him on the U.S. tour after he was not supposed to be on it.
Right.
I still really back him. I think Allegri likes him. I think maybe the board have always wanted to kind of push him out there for maybe some American marketing money.
Yeah.
Juve's been strapped for cash of late, but. Yeah, so the Weston thing's kind of puzzling. You hope he can find his way back in, but a big transfer could drop for Juve, and suddenly he's SOL. So, but I'm giving that one a B. Like, I don't even hate that one that much. So, that's where we're standing on some of these categorizations. But just kind of run through the list, Lodge. We'll rapid fire the grades here. So here's what I came up with. I got Pulisic A-, like we mentioned, Pepe A-. Haji right. I'm still considering him part of the picture. The last game Greg Berhalter was coach, he scored.
Yeah.
So in air quotes,
He did in fact score.
he did in fact score. So he moved from Turkey to Coventry City, which I think is like a good. I would consider that a step up. I think it's a good thing. At one point he
The ability to be even better, depending on promotion for that team.
Yeah, right. So you get that opportunity, you get that chance. At one point he was being linked all over the place, and that didn't materialize. So maybe this is the best move. I'm going to give that an A. Tim Way an A. Yunus Musa, we didn't get to him. Moving to AC Milan.
Yeah.
I think that's he's young enough where I'm giving that an A, and I think that like when you're young like that, like just getting in the fold at a Champions League team is good enough. You don't have to be starting every week. Those teams are going to have enough games where you should be able to get the chance to prove yourself
For sure.
And it seemed like whether it be the crazy racism that was going on at Valencia or
oh my gosh,
or just like what was going on with X's and O's that Musa just needed to get out of there. So
I think he fits the Italian game a lot more. He's an explosive midfielder, and I think a lot of the time when you see La Liga, you think more pass, and this La Liga is more. Serie A is more physical.
Yeah.
He has the opportunity to get a lot of experience because, just the nature of the Italian league, there's going to be some injuries, and he's probably going to get slotted in a lot more than he would in any other team.
Yeah. Agree on all points. So excited to see Musa and Pulisic linked there for, two Americans on one team again. I'm giving that an A. I'm giving Tyler Adams an A+. I'm giving Weston McKennie a B. Your Musa rating and your McKennie rating?
A- for Musa.
Okay. Really
Really no problems with it. McKennie, B-. Same thing. I got no issues.
Yeah, just a little bit. You're kind of waiting for something to go wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to include this one as like a non-move, but Gio Reyna staying at Dortmund. I'm giving that a B. I really liked it at the beginning of I really liked the premise, so to speak. And then in practice, it turns out Gio's still carrying this injury from way back in the Nations League final, which is wild. So that's the reason he's out right now. And you're like when you miss a preseason, you're already it's so much worse than missing other parts of the year, right? You're very much behind. I mean, it hurt from a development standpoint.
It's gonna put him right back into that substitution role,
Right.
and you want him to start.
Yeah, I should say for a guy who needs a season to fight, that preseason is arguably the most important part. So Gio missing that is a big deal, and Lodge, this is kind of funny as I criticize my team here, but Dortmund already seeing muscle injuries, something that they're like synonymous with, right?
Yeah.
Like they just have had no luck with that, and I've spent a lot of time thinking about whether Gio. From a Dortmund perspective,
They'd want to move on from him, or
like how does Gio fit into their plans, so to speak, right? And then I kind of flipped the script a little bit, and I was like, well, think about this: like Gio is at a club, he's dealing with injury after injury, and he's at a club that's notorious for having this and can't seem to figure it out. Like maybe it would just be better for him to get out of there entirely and go to somebody with a less bad track record, which is not something you don't know what like materially bad muscle treatment looks like, but there's enough of a pattern where it could be a good idea. What do you think?
I think my math teacher always taught me correlation does not equal causation. Okay. But at the same time, I'm with you. Maybe after 6 months, we're having a completely different conversation. I like you putting the little inkling in my head. I'm going to be thinking about it.
All right, good. Okay, next one. Jedi Robinson. Did not move, but he locked down a 5-year deal with Fulham after some transfer speculation. There was something about Marseille and France and like going abroad, or to use the English definition of abroad into continental Europe. What do you think of Jedi locking down?
I like it. I have no problems with it. I think Marseille would have been a new challenge for him. I don't really think he needs a challenge right now. I think he's doing everything he needs to do, and the Premier League is exactly where he needs to be.
Yeah, I'm with you. I love it. A+. Maybe in a couple, he's 26, I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe in 2 years he'll be very much in the prime of his life. That's you can make the jump and go play Champions League football. There was even some Man City rumors that didn't end up happening, but
thank God.
But they don't really. I mean, they're not like. Who knows if ever the day comes? Like I don't think that totally fits his bill. But like, who's their left back right now?
Right now, probably
like Rico Lewis.
Who they just signed to another 5-year deal.
Kid's young though. You never know with a young guy.
Don't pick him up on the waivers this weekend. This is one of my picks.
Oh, I'm definitely taking him.
No.
Yeah, we also had our fantasy draft recently.
Mm-hmm.
Lodge picked Harry Kane in the second round.
It was an emotional hedge. I picked Harry Kane as an emotional hedge as a Bayern fan because if he went to Bayern, well, I can't really be mad he went to Bayern. But if he didn't go to Bayern, then I get a very fantastic player in the second round. It was a good pick.
I actually thought it was the right move.
It's not feeling like it right now. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Well, rich get richer, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
This is my first year with Dortmund where I've relegated them to like the Cleveland Browns level of like my interests. Like you clearly have failed me time and time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
I no longer trust you at all. I will watch you if I watch you. You will no longer have any real emotional stake in my weekend.
Mm-hmm.
If you do well, call me. I'll be there.
Okay. I like that.
I mean, they were just so inexcusable back in May that.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
I'll take that. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Last one. Excuse me. I had Matt Turner A+, and then Brendan Aronson from Leeds United parachuting into Berlin to go play for Champions League newcomers Union Berlin in the Bundesliga. I give this one a B+. I think, anytime, there were a lot of people clamoring for Aronson to get physical and sort that part of his game out because it didn't really work in the Premier League, right? But, like, I don't, you look at, like, the World Cup, you look at what international soccer looks like, and we see all the time, some of the Premier League players not, like, necessarily being the absolute best on the world stage, right? That's not an indictment on the Premier League. It's just kind of to say, like, not doing well in the Premier League does not necessarily mean your career is over and, like, you need to address why you weren't good in the Premier League. Like, if you can go find success in Spain and Germany, like, that is in and of itself worth a lot and can translate both on the highest stage of the Champions League and the highest stage of international play. So, like, for me, there was a lot of people saying Brendan Aronson, his problem's physicality, go sort it out in probably the most physical soccer league in the world, the Championship.
Right.
But I'm totally cool with him taking a parachute to a Champions League team with lots of games on the schedule where, maybe the pressure's off a little bit. There's always going to be some use for Brendan Aronson, you would think, in the pressing department. And he can maybe get a fresh start in hopefully like a culture and a team that suits him a little bit better. So he's not going to be a starter, so that's a little bit of a knock. I'm giving this a B+, but like we've mentioned about pretty much all these transfers, I like them all.
Yeah,
this is another one I like.
I mean, he's a guy who's probably not going to be a starter on that U.S. men's team, and going into a role where he maybe want to be starting. Maybe he works himself into a starting role, and we're talking about him differently a year or two down the road. Right now, he's going to have to work his way up. I'm okay with it. I think it just gives him the opportunity to do both on both stages. And Union Berlin, sneakily good team. Yeah, surprisingly good. Yeah,
and he's gonna p-fuck there. Another German or another double connection.
Yeah,
so
and we're excited for that. We're seeing a lot of double connections. I don't know what the deal is this summer, but I mean, it makes me smile. Getting to see our boys play with each other.
Do you know what an underrated part of this season coming up is so far? Cross your fingers. Now we got one random kid who just got transferred into a newly promoted team in France. But if we have none of the big boys in France, we won't have to even worry about the
buying
BN Sports.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Or even finding a way to watch them. Like, that would be so ideal if we never even have to cross that line.
Disclaimer: if you're trying to buy BN Sport in the United States, don't. We do not condone illegally streaming. We will never condone illegally streaming. But no, it's just so difficult for whatever reason. I know people that have had to develop European bank accounts to make it easier for them to do it. It's ridiculous. It's just absurd.
Yeah. So that's a good segue into this next point, which is kind of looking at the dudes who are still on the block. One of them is Fuller and Balogun, who's in a weird situation, right? You would think, first of all, let me ask you, are you surprised by how his kind of time has gone of lately, or this summer has gone? Did you expect this to get done already? Did you expect Arsenal to have more interest, price tag, all those different things? What do you think?
I expected him to be gone. What I'm really disappointed about is the fact that right now Gabriel Jesus is injured, and he's not even getting considered, which is very frustrating.
Eddie Nketiah scores day one too. Like
I mean, like let's be honest, Balogun's better than Nketiah in my opinion.
You think so?
I think so.
I think definitely a higher ceiling.
I think higher ceiling, and just it's stunning him to see him there. He has to get a move out.
Yeah.
And I think one's coming.
Yeah, hopefully. And so the background, Arsenal. The reason it hasn't happened yet, Inter Milan have been super interested, but Arsenal are asking for $50 million.
Yeah,
which makes some sense to me. I'm actually surprised there isn't as much hype.
Yeah, 20 goals a season in like the Ligue 1, which is a top 5 league.
Yeah.
Not one that we can watch, so we didn't really see much of it. But they're saying that he scored 20 goals.
Yeah, we have not seen the footage, but yeah, I mean, I guess what only makes a little sense to me is like you think of Jonathan David. He's been, he's still been in Lille for a long time despite lighting it up. So maybe that you can point to, but I'm definitely a little bummed that it's gone this way, that he's not getting a look for Arsenal, that the deal isn't done yet, that Inter Milan don't want to pay 50. I mean, makes sense that an Italian club doesn't want to pay up. That's kind of how they roll. But so to give you the scoop, it's looking like the front runners are according to the rumors, are Monaco, who I believe is playing in Europe. I don't know if they're playing Champions League or Europa League.
I don't believe it's Champions League.
Okay.
I think it's Europa.
I'm going to look that up while I talk. But
Jamie, look that up.
Yeah, there we go. AS Monaco, West Ham United. Also,
I would love a West Ham move.
Or, ready for this one? The bomb drop? Tottenham are allegedly in the race. So of those three, what do you think? What would you like to see?
Well, careers go to die at Tottenham, so I definitely don't want him there. No, all things considered, I think I don't really have a problem with West Ham. I don't really have a problem with any of the moves.
Yeah.
He's going to get the opportunity to be a number one striker, or an opportunity at Inter Milan to be, one of the two guys that kind of, I don't know if you really count Lautaro as a striker, kind of plays 10 both.
Yeah.
False 9, but West Ham, he would be slotted in pretty much right away. They're having issues with their striking.
They just got rid of Scamacca, who is their other dude.
And Tottenham, I think it's Richarlison, you don't really want him as a striker. Heung-min Son doesn't really play centrally as a striker. He kind of plays behind whoever's the number 9. So I think anywhere he goes is better than staying at Arsenal. And I think they're all great options.
Cool. Yeah, I personally, as much as I don't want it to happen because the aforementioned beIN Sports thing, I think Monaco might be the best move for him, just because West Ham have a history of late of signing big strikers, Sebastian Haller and Gianluca Scamacca, both of whom I drafted on my fantasy team and were absolute busts. So for me, I'm kind of thinking it might just be best if he kind of stays away from that, even though like you would think if not for that issue, it would be a great stop. The Tottenham thing, just a little scary to me. Like personally, well, just I mean, you don't really know what you're going to do with Richarlison, but also just personally going from Arsenal to Tottenham, like there's a reason it doesn't happen.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, and I completely forgot about, bitter rivals.
Yeah, like that could personally be way more than he needs the year after coming off such a good year. You know, so. That's an interesting one that I would be a little bit of a last resort in my opinion.
I don't love it, yeah.
And then the other one, I mean, Inter Milan, I guess that would be great, but it seems like they're like well and truly like priced out of this move.
Yeah.
Unless they're really planning something, but so I think Monaco could be a good spot. Like whether it's England where he grew up and he's gonna feel comfortable, or France where he just played so well. I think that both of those things could really go in his favor. So cool. I hope something gets done relatively quickly. Definitely don't want this purgatory where maybe he has to get stuck at Arsenal. That would stink. So yeah, that's Fuller and Balogun. Yeah, so that's a big rumored one. Outside of that, like you hope you've seen little. There's been like Weston to Dortmund, but that was long ago.
Yeah, that
also falls in the category of him going to a team where he used to play for the huge rival in Schalke. There's the rumor mill has cooled down towards the end of the summer here. Hopefully, it heats back up for, in particular, Serginho Dest. I would love to see Cameron Carter-Vickers get a move. I'm a little bit nervous about Chris Richards sticking at Crystal Palace. Like he already had to play with the second team today. We saw him in the summer. He's so talented. So really hope that he gets a move or gets his situation sorted in whatever way that happens. Tim Ream is back too, by the way.
Yeah.
No, that's not transfer news, but Tim Ream is back. It was nice to see Fulham playing another pair in the Premier League. So, yeah, I think that's what the summer's looking like. We get this. Hopefully, this Tyler Adams to Bournemouth deal goes through. Yeah, it's been an awesome summer. So we can wrap this bad boy up by talking about the U.S. Women's National Team. Lodge, I'm going to give you your say here. And I'm going to get cooking on my. I have a bit of a rant to go on.
Okay.
Don't get too uncomfortable though. I promise it's going to be okay.
Okay. So remind me of I remember the score lines. Can you remind me of the three teams?
All right. So we beat Vietnam 3-0, and then we didn't score the rest of the tournament. So I believe it was no, excuse me. We scored against the Netherlands in the second game. It was a 1-1 draw.
It was 1-1.
And then we drew Portugal 0-0, and then we drew Sweden 0-0, but lost in penalties.
So I think one of the biggest things about the U.S. Women's National Team, and it's just been historically what happens, is they have a good core of young players, but they also have those experienced players, usually starters, that are going to go ahead and take players under their wing that are going to make it about the tournament, that they're focused on the tournament, and really, keep everybody engaged, keep everybody, interested. That, unfortunately, from the first game, didn't seem to be the case. Vietnam, I think we probably should have beaten them 6-7-0.
Yeah,
ideally. I think that definitely put us on the back foot.
Yeah.
And just getting out of the group, not only getting first in the group, but getting out of the group when it came down to it.
Can you even imagine?
Yeah, that would have been
It was like a 90th something minute post away from crashing on the group.
So second game against Netherlands. I mean, Netherlands is a great team. I believe they're still in it.
They just I think they got knocked out in the quarters, but
yeah.
I mean, they went to the final, the last one. Like, they're definitely a good team.
Great team. A little bit of a group of death, not going to lie.
Yeah, that's a tough group.
Yeah, and so coming out 1-1, and then this is pretty much where the tournament just took a turn for me. It seemed like every time that some of the substitutions came in, we could not put the ball in the back of the net. Fantastic chances, I think. In that Portugal game, I think we outshot them significantly. I know for a fact in that Swedish game because I was up at 3 a.m. in Arizona
watching it. Nice.
I was. And they outshot them. I think it was like 11 shots on goal to 1.
Okay.
11 saves for that Swedish keeper. Hats off to her. She played fantastically.
And the PKs as well, right?
And then, the pens were crazy. A lot of unforced errors, it seemed like, with this tournament, which isn't something that you saw, in the past with the U.S. women's teams. You saw players such as Mia Hamm, the big names that we're thinking of, and they just, would score when the big moment came.
Yeah.
It seemed like, unfortunately, this team just didn't have that. I don't know if it was the tune-up games. There's a lot of negative things coming out about the coach and how, that system worked. I really didn't see that many games leading up to it, so I can't comment on that.
Yeah, I mean, so we're coming at it as a pro U.S. Women's National Team podcast too. Obviously, doesn't casually pay, or very much casuals, right? So maybe tuned in for the World Cup and going from there. So to paraphrase what I heard, my understanding is this coach is a complete bozo. People were comparing him to people who in my opinion, are way too harsh on Greg Berhalter. We're admitting that Greg Berhalter was a better coach than this guy.
Really?
This guy was an absolute disaster. And part of the reason he was so bad, I guess, was, he had his favorites, which tends to be an issue, right? He had his favorites that some people were suggesting weren't really the move. And then he was constantly, I guess there's a lot of really talented players that are sort of young and had that great sub profile, and he was opting to bring in Rapinoe game after game after game,
right?
Who, from everything I've gathered, is way past their depth at this point, and just deserved a farewell tour a little while ago.
I would agree with that to a point. Rapinoe, let's be honest, she made it into every single right position to score. She just could not put the ball in the back of the net, unfortunately. And that's, that's soccer IQ, and maybe you use her in a different way, but she was there at that back post multiple times. Got to give her credit for getting there. Unfortunately,
that was just against Vietnam. I know what you're talking about. That was against Vietnam.
There were a couple
it's not that hard to get there, with all due respect.
There were a couple other opportunities where she was in the right place at the right time and just could not convert.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and by the way, 100% has a place in the team and had
Oh, yeah.
and like a missed penalty that happens like and that's just the type of person you would want in that situation. But I think ultimately, and it was not only just like only bringing her on, it was like using one sub in the Netherlands game, using 2 subs out of an available 5, like things that like to anybody at home are just like, what are you doing?
Right.
Like and the way people have described it is just this coach has just burned this team into the ground.
Yeah.
So despite many of the probably false narratives about out there about how this team, you know, their wokeness was what brought them down in the end, you know, and maybe there's something to be said for like what Carly Lloyd has pointed out in terms of just like external distraction. You know, that's a separate point, but it seems to be a coach X's and O's dominated disaster that unfolded.
Yeah.
But that's all I've got to say on it. And yeah, it was good. It was good to catch up and run through some of these transfers again, and hopefully we'll be talking more club stuff, more international windows soon. So,
Yeah,
you got any closing thoughts?
No, excited to be back. It was good to have a little bit of a break, but now that the Prem's up, we're back in it, baby.
Right back in it. It's the sport that never sleeps. All right, lads. That's all we got. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks.